So you might meet someone who dresses in all the latest fashion, drives the latest car, lives in a nice house, but they are in serious debt.
There's a reason why the colors of the rainbows are so bright.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and I hope you're well. If you're new around here, you're welcome. Please don't leave without checking out my other videos and subscribing to my channel if you like what you see. It will encourage and help my channel a lot. Turning on your notification bell lets you know when next I'll upload a new video. So please do that as well. So from today's title, I'll be talking about few expectations people, myself included, have of the UK which I need to debunk because I now live here. And if you live in the UK, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone in the UK is rich. Oh, that's a big one. Many Africans believe that people who live and work in the UK make loads of money, always go on vacation, drive the most expensive cars, live in big houses like in Downton Abbey. But the reality is only very few people live like that. In Nigeria, to be specific, people think the streets of London are paved with gold and money grows on trees. I am not entirely sure where this perception of Britain comes from, but it's impossible to explain to people back home that there are homeless people on the streets of Britain. The truth is that the UK, as well as many other Western societies, survive on credit. So for example, in Nigeria, most people pay cash to buy a house or a car. No one gives you credit. There is nothing like buy a TV now and pay for it later. Most people in the UK, even those with well-paid jobs, can't pay cash for a house or a new car. Most people rely on a bank loan, a mortgage, or some sort of financial broker to pay for things. The real difference between Europe and Africa is that their financial systems here allow people to live alongside their debts. What that means is that because people get paid regularly, thank God, businesses won't go bust without having some form of protection for their staff. The financial system can afford to take certain risk, so people can buy things they can't afford and pay for it in installments over months or even years. So you might meet someone who dresses in all the latest fashion, drives the latest car, lives in a nice house, but they are in serious debts. Very few people own their stuff outright. The banks own half of the country and people are simply indebted to the banks. Everyone is plugged into this matrix and you can't get out of it until you pay your dues. So like we say in Nigeria, it's all packaging. People appear to live well because of the entire system is built on credit. Buy now and pay gradually. It's the good life. Britain is a Christian country. Well, if you've never lived in the UK, it's easy to assume that the country which produced some of the greatest missionaries, men and women who risked their lives traveling far and wide to spread the gospel, would be at least fairly religious? Well, not exactly. Don't get me wrong. If you ask the British people if they thought the UK was a Christian country, the majority would say yes. In fact, when asked in a recent survey, 56% said yes, while 28% said no. However, if you ask the question, how many people attend Sunday services each week, that figure drops to around 10%. Coming from Nigeria, where Christianity plays a huge part in daily life, I find it surprising that British Christianity is largely symbolic, if anything. For example, if you walk around any British town, you'll see evidence of a religious pastime, beautiful churches, magnificent cathedrals, hospitals and schools named after Christian saints. It's a history that somehow evaporated over the years and replaced with secularism. Secularism itself isn't a bad thing because people are allowed to freely practice whatever religion they wanted, and that's great. The one thing I found really strange though is that when I tell people that I am a Christian, they sort of look at me as though I just crawled out from under a rock, as if to say, babe, we don't do God here anymore. I think you've missed the bus. With that said, nothing prepared me for when I watched a documentary about how many church buildings were being sold off to developers to later convert them into pubs. A church building turned into a pub? Wow. So when British people say the UK is a Christian country, what that means is that the country is Christian in heritage, not in practice. The UK celebrates Christmas and Easter and other Christian festivals like no other, but very little of that celebration has anything to do with Christ. The Queen may be the head of the Anglican Church, and the bishops may have legislative influence in the parliament, but the truth is that the UK is Christian in name only. Education is valued. Because the UK is so well known around the globe for its elite universities like Oxford, Cambridge, and Eton, there is this expectation that education is highly valued here. Well, yes and no. The culture around education is less hawkish, like say in South Korea or even in Nigeria, where education is placed on a pedestal. In South Korea, teachers are more valued than doctors, and some of them are millionaires because private tuition is highly lucrative. Parents want the best education for their children, and you hear stories of children studying for 6 to 10 hours after school hours. That's insane. Where I come from, education can be a life and death situation, and parents take it seriously because it's usually their way out of poverty and securing a decent future. And because parents pay school fees, the kids know that failing a class is not an option. In the UK, lack of education is not necessarily a yoke around someone's neck because they have a welfare system here. Your livelihood is not threatened just because you dropped out of school or failed to attend university. Sure, many still value a good education, but it's not the end of the world if you don't make it academically. The educational system is paid for through taxation, so most parents don't pay out of pocket for their children's education, and the children hardly appear to be under any kind of immense pressure to excel academically. It's sort of do your best, we love you, we will support you, whatever you choose to do. A child could quit university and tell their parents they are no longer interested in a course or that they want to go traveling for a few years. Well, before you do that, make sure your parents are not Nigerians. I'm just saying, everyone speaks like the Queen. I think this one we can blame on movies and the media. It's easy to think everyone in the UK sounds a certain way, but the truth is that each region has its own accent, and to make life even more interesting, there are parts of the United Kingdom where English is not even the first spoken language. For example, Welsh and Gaelic are spoken in remote parts of the country. So yes, be prepared to hear different accents around the UK. Lots of new words and phrases that takes getting used to. Please check out a video I did on this subject a while back. The UK has lots of beautiful accents, and it's a real shame only a few are deemed TV friendly. So it's highly unlikely you would ever get to hear them without visiting those regions. Respect for the elderly. Well, to be fair, the British people are very kind, easygoing, and generally very polite. But respect for hierarchy and the elderly is not a right in the UK. They believe respect must be earned, and that's great. The thing is, the UK is a free society, so most people are free to live their life the way they want, so long as it doesn't infringe on someone else's freedoms and individual rights. And I really admire that about the UK. The problem I find is that because it tries to place everyone on the same level, you often find a clash between the rights of one individual and the status of another. So my question is that if respect must be earned, how can someone earn your respect if you don't really know them? Should certain people demand respect simply for being who they are or what they do? For example, the police, a teacher, a judge, or even an elderly person? The one thing I notice is how there is not this sort of reverential treatment we have for parents or the elderly in Africa or many parts of Asia. They don't really value or cherish the wisdom of the elderly, and even the elderly themselves do not place any kind of value on themselves, which I found astonishing because where I come from, age matters. If you're 5 years older than someone, you demand their respect simply because you are a few years older, and parents have such a strong say in the lives of their children. While that can be suffocating at times, what that does is allows a continuation of culture and tradition to be passed down from one generation to the other. There is this social trend that holds the community. A neighbor could scold your child if they saw them doing something they shouldn't, and their parents will thank you for correcting their child. Yeah, that can happen here. I know I'm going all over the place with this point, but at the core of what I'm trying to say is that unless more value is placed on the elderly, then the fabric of communities and societies will change too quickly, because very little beyond material things is passed down to the next generation, and this is how societies and communities lose their culture and identities, because nothing is passed down to them. And then you hear people say things like, we don't feel British anymore, our society is less British. But then you ask them what Britishness means. No one has a clue. Having the free will to do whatever you want and live your life the way you choose is great, but it often chips away the pillar of society and culture. As the British would say, you can't eat your cake and have it. So guys, that's it for me this week. I hope you've really enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this. Stay safe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
There's a reason why the colors of the rainbows are so bright. It's for you and me to learn.